Welcome to Project Jackson, A Cautionary Tale, Volume 2. And we've subtitled this, Green Jackets Cry for a River. And we're going to talk a little bit about what are the Green Jackets, what kind of team they are, and who they're affiliated with. And we'll talk a little bit about their experience with the city of Augusta in Augusta, Georgia. But currently, the Green Jackets have a stadium in Augusta, Georgia. If you remember from Volume 1, that stadium, it's not right on the river. It's close to it, but not on it. And that's a picture of their stadium right inside. It's called Lake Olmsted Stadium because it's situated near a lake. It's called Lake Olmsted in Augusta. And you got some skeletal information there. It's opened in 1995. It was built for about a little over $3 million by the city of Augusta. They're affiliated with the San Francisco Giants, is the Major League Ball club they're affiliated with. They're in a Class A minor league called the South Atlantic League. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as Sally League. The stadium has a capacity of around 4,500 seats. And you'll see that it was rated, the stadium itself was rated an A-, the atmosphere and concessions. If you look at the lower right-hand corner of the screen, you'll see a reference point, and that's where that ballparkreviewisdone.com. And most of these slides will have a reference to a website you can go to check it out for yourself. You don't have to take it from this. This is gleaned from research on the web. And from that review, that ballparkreviews.com, there's some quotes there that talks about this guy who goes around, basically he makes it his business. He visits as many minor league baseball stadiums he can, and he takes pictures and writes reviews. And there's, again, more pictures of the stadium. There's an interior shot of the stadium. And the guy basically, I pretty much gave the Green Jackets Lake Olmsted Stadium a pretty glowing review. It was 2007. It's been a while, but talked about this is the way parks should be built. In fact, he didn't like all the fancy brickwork. And he thinks most of these minor league teams waste too much money. I think about that. We're not wasting their money on their project. We're wasting taxpayers' money. So when you waste taxpayers' money, it doesn't matter, right? But that's what he wrote. They're wasting too much money on the outside. And even back then in 2007, it was kind of interesting, and he wrote in his review that there was talk of a new stadium in Augusta. They were kicking around building a new one. Green Jackets got to be on the river. They just got to be there. And the guy wrote, I hope that Lake Olmsted lives on for many more years. Here's what's their impact. Again, there's another picture of the stadium. It's kind of nice looking picture there. They sell anywhere from about $200,000 to $210,000 a year. This is basically from their website. Remember, they're a Class A team. That's kind of like the fourth level. They've combined some levels recently in a minor league baseball. It used to be AAA, AA, upper level A, lower level A. So they got two Class A, and Green Jackets are kind of considered the lower level Class A. And there's an upper level A plus, and that's important later on. And when you do research on the web about the impact of these things, you need to remember that they're Class A, lower level. They play about 70 home games a year, and as many away games, obviously. And we'll get into this a little bit later on this Volume 2, but as a minor league baseball team, Class A, lower level, studies show economic study after economic study after economic study just show there's no positive impact to either a team or a stadium. And the two together don't show any positive economic impact. None. Zero. Nada. You can jawbone it all you want. You can pretend like it is. You can talk about stadiums. You can talk about jobs. Everybody who's looked at it, I mean everybody, says there is no impact. But that's how we're selling this project. And by the way, we're selling it, and for God's sakes, we don't want the taxpayers, we don't want them voting on it. And the reason they don't want them voting on it is they know they'll see through it. They'll see the truth. And they'll say baloney. They're not going to vote it in. That's why they're afraid of it, and that's why they're using this perverted form of the TIF law. And as a reference point, you're welcome to, that's a copyrighted article, I believe. You see the source is The Economic Impact of Stadiums and Teams by Ms. Aga. You remember that previous slide we showed about the reviewer, and in 2007 he talked about there was talk about trying to move or build a new stadium in Augusta. That's true. And this is an architectural concept drawing where they were trying to move the Green Jackets to a stadium on the river. That's the Savannah River on the north part of that picture, on the top side of the picture. And this is Augusta, Georgia. In fact, this location, we don't have the map here, but if you looked up the river and just a little bit to the left, that's the new site, the Projac site that we talked about in Volume 1. This is across the river, across that little 13th Street bridge, right here. It may be half a mile between this site and the one we talked about earlier in Volume 1. And you can see the plan. It's similar to what they want to do at Projac. For some reason, you always got to build a hotel. Must have something to do with they're hoping it's a valuable piece of development. It'll spin off taxes, and then from that we can build a stadium. And they got 80,000 square feet of office facilities, and they put in condominiums. The whole concept is similar to what is over in North Augusta in this project. They talk about they were going to revitalize botanical gardens. That shut down at Botanical Gardens, the lower right-hand side of or lower left-hand side of the screen, and it was a little bit of a controversy here back in 2007, 2008. But that was probably an attempt to sell this. Again, the source of that, if you want to look it up, the source was a study group in 2008, which was undertaken by Mayor Deke Copenhaver. He was the mayor of Augusta. His term's coming to an end here, and he was working with Cal Ripken, who used to be the owner of the Green Jackets. They could never sell it. They never could get it off the ground. And so one time, someone had the idea, well, let's make a referendum out of it. And they took it and put it on the ballot. This is July 2010. Put it on the Democratic primary ballot in Augusta, Georgia. Should we build a new stadium? And, they talk about blowout votes and landslide. I think under any definition, anybody who's in the political science business and someone said, whatever it is, you got 77% of the vote, most people say it's a blowout. Well, during the primary, it was a Democratic primary. Granted, Republicans didn't get a chance to vote. 77% of the people voting said, nope, we don't want to spend the money. They did not want to spend public monies to build a new stadium replacing the Lake Olmsted Baseball Stadium. Again, at the bottom of the slide, you can see the reference. You're welcome to look it up on the web. Just more information on the Augusta experience. There's a little weekly rag over in Augusta. It's called the Metro Spirit. It's a free newspaper thing. They went out to the stadium in 2000. They went during a game. And think about it. This is a game. People at the game generally are going to be baseball fans, and probably fans of the Green Jackets. We're not claiming it's a scientific survey, but the paper decided to take a shot at it. Interviewed 382 fans. They could only get 111 and say, yeah, let's build a new stadium, moving it to a downtown area. Remember, this is a fan-based survey, and 71% of them said no. You want to look it up yourself? There's the reference bottom of the slide. And here's Senator Hardy Davis, pretty well-known politician in Augusta. He's a state senator, and he was asked about building it. And he talked about the rough economic times, and they were rough back in 2007 and through 2010. We all know what happened there, deep recession. But he didn't like it. He didn't like it one bit. And he wanted the mayor to give assurances that any proposal to build a stadium either get voter approval. Think about that. Voter approval. How novel is that? Really, in a democracy. Let's get the voters to approve spending money like this. Or if you don't want to get voter approval, don't finance it. Taxpayers' expense. That's Senator Hardy Davis. He's thinking about running for mayor of Augusta. That just common sense. Finally, it didn't take place. Augusta couldn't pull it off. We had prominent politicians like Senator Davis talking about it. You got surveys, primary, the voters saying no, 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 no. And in their after-action report, when they wrote the report, one of the things they cited is the very thing we've said before, that previous studies of the use of sports facilities to generate economic development. I'm going to say that one more time, because you're going to hear it touted in the tallest tree tops in North Augusta, Chamber of Commerce, the mayor, everybody. They all say, believe in economic development. It's like asking if you believe in motherhood. Yeah, I believe it. But problem is, a minor league baseball stadium doesn't generate it. And there's the citation. Studies have shown, uniformly means all of them, that there is no statistical significant positive correlation between sports facility construction and economic development. But you watch the news, watch county council people talk about the 300, 400, we've heard 2,700 jobs being created, all because of Project Jackson. You feel like you're in the fairy tale, The Emperor's New Clothes. At some point, the little boy stands up and says, that emperor, he's not wearing any new clothes. He's naked. And someone needs to tell these people, you don't know what you're talking about. And you haven't studied it, and you haven't read up on it. And you're making multi-million-dollar decisions, making stuff up. That's why voters need to decide this, because it's pretty clear to us, you don't get it. Okay, just to summarize, Volume 2 of this little presentation on Project Jackson, also known as Project. We talked about the Green Jackets. They were a Class A minor league baseball team. What level that is in the minor league baseball system. We talked about all the studies and how there's no economic impact from either a stadium or a team. I'm going to emphasize that again. No study anywhere that's peer-reviewed by any academia, recognized economic experts have never found a positive impact. And I hear a lot of leaders in North Augusta, they seem to know better. And they are really building up the jobs. And all you need to do is just Google it. We have some reference points on the slides that were presented. We gave you Augusta's experience. They said no. Several times. The people said no. They were smarter than that. As Augusta leaders, Senator Davis said no. If you want to do that, get the voters' consent. So, and then we found out that they trotted those plans over to North Augusta, and voila. They bid. Hook, line, and sinker. Great. And this is a call to action. And after you've viewed this slide presentation, and we think we've demonstrated to you why this is a bad idea, because it just doesn't make any sense on any level. all these county council members, and you need to tell them that they should say no to corporate welfare, no to the TIF. Tell them that these minor league baseball stadiums are net negative. We can develop this place smarter. Just use the original plan. And furthermore, anything this controversial ought to go to the voters. There's their numbers. They don't bite. They're politicians. They like to hear from their constituents. Let them know that you saw this on Facebook and you don't like it. You don't like what they're about to do.